You. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the live coding sessions. What happened? Since last time, I think I finished by showing a bunch of diagrams, which are not interesting anymore, I think, to show. However, we did get stuck at some point, though. Or maybe I can show that. So I showed the project to somebody else, Cordusk, namely, and I think he's the latest follower there. So yeah, good on you, man. Thanks for following. He's going to be contributing to this project, so that's really cool. And what I learned from him is that he's tried to start a project, in fact, by running the jar file and having it not work for him. So I was like, wait, why? What could possibly be the problem here? So we started investigating, and we have found that because of the way that we have set up well, not because of the way, but one part of why it's failing. Let me quickly turn this into presentation mode, in fact, so that you can more easily read along. So basically, what was going on was that whenever I would build my web project, so this one here, it would in fact use, this is no longer necessary since it's encompassed in that thing here. So I think I can just remove that. Watch me break my project by removing just this plugin. Anyway, so one thing that we've noticed, this thing, when you build it, what it should do is it should create... can I not see that then? That's kind of weird. Okay, I guess we'll first need to run a clean and a boot and a build, sorry. So what it was doing, this build thing here in the web, is this is supposed to create an executable jar file, which we are then able to run using just this statement, just java-jar, and I think it's now called -boot, not jar, in fact. And this, in fact, is just a fat jar or a one jar or however you want to call it, but it's just like one big jar that contains all of the libraries that it needs to start up a web server and then start serving content. Now, that's all great. However, and it was indeed hosting our Elm UI, which already got bundled, which is super nice. But the thing that it wasn't doing yet is it wasn't actually picking up our REST controllers. So that was kind of weird, because when you look at this this project, all of our REST controllers are going to reside within the REST API adapter, as being part of the clean architecture style of designing your architecture. We want these things to be in a separate module so that we can control our dependencies a little bit better. So that means that for the web module, there should be a dependency on the adapter REST API project, which there was. So I was figuring, wait, so if I have this dependency, why am I not seeing it in the jar that gets produced in the end? So what happened was, in this plugin that we ourselves defined, the Spring Conventions plugin, which, let me just show you how it looks like. So please ignore the non-compiling thing. It's a filthy lie. It is compiling. So what we do here, in fact, is we say, all right, every project or every module that depends on this Spring Conventions plugin, they are going to get the Spring Framework Boot Gradle plugin installed, the Spring Dependency Management plugin installed, and then the Spring Kotlin plugin installed. And then as another side effect, all of those modules now will also have a dependency on Spring Boot Starter Web, the actuator, and then the the Kotlin module for Json to be able to operate on Kotlin JSON classes, let's say. So the tricky part was this one here. So this Spring Framework boot Gradle plugin, what this thing is in fact doing is it's creating the boot chart task that we will be able to see right here. So the boot chart task. And it was also generating it on our REST API module, which wasn't really my intention because I only really want this task to be on my web module because that's the only module that needs or really needs a boot chart task, because this is the main module that encompasses everything, right? It's our main deployable, let's say. But so I did some reading, did a lot of reading in fact, and what we came to the conclusion of is that if you've got this Spring Boot Gradle plugin set up in your Gradle projects, and this Spring Boot Gradle plugin happens to find that your module is a Java plugin module or also has like a Java plugin, that it will generate those boot chart tasks. And even more so, it will just override or just straight up disable the actual jar task, which is not what I wanted, right? Because I wanted my REST API module to in fact generate the jar file so that I can depend or introduce a dependency from my web module onto the REST API adapter module. So that was the main reason why exactly this module was not being packaged within the executable jar, which was really annoying and took us quite a long time to figure out, in fact. So our current solution, which is still a serious workaround, honestly, is what we've done to the Spring Conventions plugin. Is what we've said was, so first, yeah, maybe that's like a good history. We tried to just say, okay, I want Gradle to incorporate the Spring Boot Gradle plugin. However, I don't want to apply it by default. So I don't want to do this. So this is not working. Now, I don't know if it's because I've incorporated this into my own plugin and it just straight up ignores it, or what the actual reason is. But in any case, this is not just working. But so in theory, what you could do is you could say, I want the Spring Framework or the Spring Boot Gradle plugin, but I don't want to apply it. And the reason you want this is so that you just have static dependency management, so that you can depend on the Spring Boot's BOM, so the bill of materials for Maven, in fact, so that you don't need to mess with having the correct versions for all of your Spring Boot dependencies. This is something I would really like, because I don't want to be managing all of those versions manually, even though you typically just set them up once and then forget about it for the rest of your project until you need to upgrade them, of course. But so I didn't want to get rid of that benefit. So what I had to do is, what you need to do actually is you need to re-enable the jar task by just doing this. Because again, this is going to be disabled because once your Spring Boot Gradle plugin detects that your module is a Java project, then it will disable this jar task and override it with its own boot jar task. So just doing this was not enough. What you also needed to do was actually define a main class name in your boot jar task. Why is that? Because if you don't, then your Spring build configuration step just comes to complain. It's like, hey, you didn't configure, you didn't set up your main class name. Please set it up now, because otherwise I'm just going to crash. So I just gave it a default of course, Snarf, which we all know is a Thundercat fame. And the other more important thing I did was also call the classifier boot. If you do not do this, then Spring Boot's Gradle plugin will still override your actual jar file that you've just enabled. So right now, if we build, and I think I've just done that in fact, we get 2 jar files, one REST API jar and one REST API-boot jar. So that's the one created by the boot jar. If I go and I check, how do I do that? Maybe just open a file. Let's think. I think, go like this. Go to adapter, REST API build libs. And here we can see that the content size of the -boot jar file is in fact 23 megabytes and the regular one is just 3.4 kilobytes. So that's just to give you an idea of what the difference is there. So this boot jar is a 1 jar or a fat jar, but we won't ever be able to use this as an actually executable jar file. It's not meant for that. So that's like our side effect, or like the thing we haven't solved yet about our workaround here. So that's why it's still in fact a workaround. But it's still working. So that's like the good thing. And then the other thing that we've already done as well is we have set up a way for us to develop our main Elm file without having to reload it constantly. So what our flow used to be was, all right, modify this main.elm file, then run, which one was it again? I think it might just be build, because build, what that will do is it will trigger, and I think I can show it. Yeah. So what it will do is it will depend on the UI module's build task. And if maybe I can just Control B there. Oh, that's too bad. Oh, that's too bad. Anyway, it will depend on this one right here, where I define a build task. And basically what it just does, it will call the Elm make task, which I get because I've used the Moms Elm plugin, which will allow us to Elm compile our project via Gradle. So really what this thing does is just do a build with Elm, which will generate some files that end up in the build/Elm directory, and then copy those files, which will be a main.js file, into the static folder. So what will happen is that somewhere in here, no, in resources, this main.js file actually is the one from here. And this task makes sure that this one gets copied there. That's basically the idea. And we need that anyway to construct our fat jar, because we're both hosting our UI and our REST API in the same jar file. So anyway, that was like the main flow. You change something to this, you would run your build, and from that point on, you could restart your Scrambled application, your Spring Boot application, and then you would see your changes that you've done to your main Elm file. So we didn't really want that slow of a feedback cycle. So what we did next was, you wouldn't believe what we did next. What we did next was we installed, or we tried to use Elm Live, which is an NPM package that basically provides you all of these features. Mainly the feature that we're most interested in was the hot reloading, of course, so that whenever you do some changes to your Elm file, you instantly get feedback by just refreshing your browser, or I think it's like even auto refreshed. And then the good thing about that is, since it's a different process, so also a different web server that was going to be running your Elm code, we'd need some way to work around the cross-origin resource sharing annoying thing. And I didn't want to run my Chrome browser with like a development flag on. So what we did was we made sure that there is in our, so we've got the package JSON now, this thing, which, did I open the wrong one? It seems like, yeah. So this is the log file. I don't need that one. I think I'll just want this one indeed. So what this one will do is it will run the Elm Live plugin. It will say, hey, look for this main.elm file. Then also open a browser whenever you're done. By the way, your base directory should be located in source main resources. So from the UI project, that's this one, source main resources. And then your start page should be index.html. This I want to do so that I don't accidentally overwrite my index.html by running an Elm make. And then this is like the biggest workaround for your cross-origin resource sharing problem. And that's just saying whenever you find that your browser is doing calls to /API on your own server, just forward them to HTTP localhost 8080/API. And this happens to be the spot where my scrambled Spring Boot application is running at. So by doing that, I can actually just run this Elm Live file and change my Elm source file as much as I want. I will get live updates in my browser, and it's still going straight to our REST API that's running in the background somewhere. And I'm not dealing with cores anymore. So that's great. This is some cleanup, so let's do that with the fire emoji. Some small cleanup, because I don't need the Spring Boot Gradle plugin in that project anymore, since we've it comes along with the Spring Conventions plugin that we've got now. Alright, so that I can just push, and now we've I think I've also created like a README that now has they changed the Command P shortcut somehow to switch panes. Just wanted to see this. So this is some stuff I added as well to make sure that Cordas can pick up more easily what I've produced. And the next parts that we need to do to have a walking skeleton is this part, in fact. So actually parse the JSON instead of passing in a string. We need to be in the UI for that. Do some proper error handling in the UI as well. And then what event sourcing, what's out there, or do we do it yourself with Postgres? So that's some question I still have got running. So if you've got an idea for that, please shout out. I've got half a mind of using the, what was it called again? Like Greg Young. I think it's Event Store. I guess it's just Event Store. So maybe this thing. I don't really know. This looks like the thing I had in mind. So any case, we'll figure it out, I'm sure. I guess we'll also be somewhat dependent on where we will be deploying eventually. So maybe take that into account as well at some point. All right, so yeah, let's just get into it and then try and start with this part here. So to actually parse the JSON instead of passing in a string. And for that, I need to be somewhere in the main.elm file. So somewhere here, what we're doing, I think we're just looking at it right now, in fact. So here, our register player is a function that takes in a model and outputs a model and then a command message. And what we'll do here is we'll just output, okay, your post register player thing is now a maybe type of loading. And what we'll do as a command is we'll say to Elm, please do an HTTP post you to this URL, and with having this as a body. Now, instead of doing the HTTP string body, the other thing we should do is use JSON body. And if we do that, then I don't think you still need this. I'm not really sure, in fact. Required value found string. Put some JSON value in the body of your request. This will automatically add the content type application JSON header. So indeed, we don't need this. Instead, what we need to do is transform this into an actual JSON body using the JSON decoder. What's that, decoder or encoder? I guess it's I don't actually know. We need to assemble some kind of JSON body in any case. And it should be this thing. So let's try and extract that right out of there. So basically what happens is that this thing is going to be the JSON body. And maybe what we'll call this is the register player JSON. What did I call it in my REST API? Let's see. Player name JSON. I guess we'll just call it player name then. So player name, pipe that into the JSON body thing. Now we don't have a player name thing yet. So what we'll do is we'll define a player name equals, I don't know yet, a string. I know it's going to be wrong, but just hang in there. Now we don't really need that piping thing anymore. So what we'll just do is just write a little bit more simple. Right. Now it's going to complain that it's not a string. It requires a value. So let's make this into a value. I think it's going to look like this. Maybe I'll need to JSON.value. Is that a thing? Decode dot val, no, encode. Okay, so I'm just guessing, but hey man, encode dot, no dice, still no dice. All right, then I think we'll better look up what it actually looks like. So here they do work with string as well, instead of just a full JSON body. So maybe what we will be able to do is find that, this one looks promising. So I'm looking for the place where they are here. Okay, so this is like when they do an expect. So here they use a decoder. So if you have to go from outside world with strings to actual data, so that would be producing a .gif or GIF type. So I expect there to be a .gif message indeed. So this thing, but it is GIF decoder looks like this thing. No, now I remember. So the decoder, what that thing does is it just extracts by chaining some functions basically into an end result, and in this case it's a string, but yeah, we'll need some kind of object, right? So what we'll need to do is we'll need to make an encoder that is going to transform our player name, I guess, into a player name object. Because so the player name I think that was this part. Maybe you can just write it as a comment somehow. So in fact, this is what it should look like somehow. So with encode, I think we were correct. So maybe it's not value that I want, but maybe encode is a decoders building blocks. Now I'm not sure if I've already in fact imported that package. Yeah, I guess it's going to belong to the Json dependency. Yeah? That's an assumption, but I hope that should be like a good assumption. So this is still looking just like decoding stuff, but I want to, I guess, encode stuff. How does that work? So this is accessing stuff. Yeah, maybe I need to, I guess, import JSON and this is why. Okay. Do I use it anywhere else? Here I do. Okay. I guess what I'll need to do then is go import json.encode as an encode or something like that. And then say, yo, what is on the encode thing, in fact? Maybe there isn't anything. Maybe I should look at the package module. Here we go, encode. So encode comes with a function, convert a value into a prettified string. Okay, that's nice. So this is something I already did, right? Because I've got import json.encode as encode. That's what's right here. Then I need to define some value. Okay, encode.object. And that's how you create a value. Okay. So encode.object. There we go. And now what I want to do is apparently it just takes an array of tuples. So basically it's a key value map. So what I need is, basically I only need this because I want also just something with name. So it should look like that. And then encode string with not Tom, but model.nickname field. And then I've got my value object, and we're actually using an object now instead of just a simple string name. Now, do I want? I wonder if this is already going to be correct. Maybe let's just try it out. So now what I can do is I don't want to update all my zush. Let's go to the UI and then run npm start to start developing, in fact. And what this is going to do is this will spawn a new Elm application based off of this by actually serving everything from this folder here. So this file always will get updated every time I modify the main.elm file. And then, yeah, I think it's like a Webpack proxy or something behind it that just serves everything. So yeah, I've changed some code. I think my REST API is still running on 8080. So all of the requests to /API should get forwarded. That's that. So I expect this thing to still work, but okay, it does seem to still work, so that's good, because otherwise we wouldn't get yay, you are now registered for the Scramble ladder. And I think we can also see, no, I didn't run it in debug, so I don't get any log information there. All right, so this is already a little bit better of a way to go about this, I guess. The thing I'm not really seeing just yet is why do I have so many things open here? Yeah, I mean, this is still just a value. But I wonder if you can just describe the way like an object looks like, and then have this work just like that. Or if I just have to write my my encoder basically every time like this. So really what this is, this encode.object, is create a new player name object from this string. So maybe what I can do is extract this. Is IntelliJ going to be smart enough to do that? Oh, that's too bad. Okay, what I think I should do then is just extract this into a name thing, and then this can be my my function name. So it would be new player name using name, and then new player name is something that accepts a string in our case and outputs an encode.value, or maybe it's just a value, I'm not really sure yet. So new player name with the player or with a name or something like that equals, yeah, because I did call it just name. Voila. And now I can just inline this. And maybe we can inline this as well. Not really sure. It looks okay. Maybe we'll call it player name Json or something. There we go. That already looks much nicer, huh? So this was pure refactoring using json.encode to encode the nickname field as a player name JSON object. Okay, cool. Now we've already got the gist of it. Maybe add something that says this is a constructor function to get a player name JSON object from a string. Let's amend the commit. And this we can push. Noise. Now if go back to the README, actually parse the JSON. We've finished that. Then we need to do some proper error handling. Damn it, I wish I included that in here as well. I mean, it's a bit silly, but to do some proper error handling. But before I'm going to do that, I'm going to grab a glass of water because my throat is so dry, you have no idea. All right, so I will be right back. Yeah, see you in a bit.
I have returned.
Are you like that impression of an immortal spawning? Yeah, so I grabbed some water in my mug. Some nice ASMR for you there. No, sorry about that. We need to do some proper error handling, that's right. And what I also thought about on the way to the water cooler, aka my faucet, is by rewriting or actually trying to use Elm UI or Elm CSS. Don't know what it's called nowadays. Voila. Because this is going to be quite helpful. It's funny. Added a new to do to include Elm UI or Elm CSS, maybe and or in fact. There we go. But first, what we'll try to do is do some proper error handling. So whenever something goes wrong now, let's say that our controller always returns not response entity okay, but bad request or something. Do I need to build? Yeah. So instead of returning an okay, I'm going to stop this one and then rerun it. I think I might have run the wrong thing here. It's always scary when you hit shortcuts. But it is working though. When you hit shortcuts and you don't know what they're doing. In this case I lucked out because it's doing it in debug, so hopefully we'll get some more input now. But I can also, because it's in debug, I can just change something, save, and it will automatically do some hot reloading in the backend as well. Okay, so we've got our backend running, we've got our front end running. If you do something like blah now, and you try to register, some stuff is going to go wrong, but let me first, because I've noticed that there's some information in my window there. That is in fact somewhat private, maybe. Man, can't I just like turn it off for a while somehow? What if I use an incognito window? Okay, so an incognito window does seem to work. Okay, nice. So what I wanted to show was if I run this, stuff goes wrong. And there's a bad request being returned because I told it to return this, but there's no way to show the message yet, or to basically deal with this error here. So that's the thing that we're going to solve now. So somewhere in our post, whenever this gets called, what we'll do is we'll return got.text, and got.text is basically your success message for successfully creating or registering as a new player, basically. And maybe we shouldn't call it got.text then, but maybe got success, or maybe got register player response, something like that. So from that we'll get a result, and it's either so it's either an OK with the value string, or it's an error of an HTTP error. So that's what we're going to get now. So they are both constructors, I think is what they're just called. Results, where is this thing? How is being handled? We've got the handle register player function for that. And if we go there, what we'll do is, if everything went well, then we'll just say, I don't care about the actual response of the HTTP. And then when there's an error, I also don't care, but I just notice we just mark it as a failure, and that's it. So maybe what I want to do instead is to have failure contain an error message, which is a string. So now stuff should not be compiling anymore. There we go. I think this is going to be the error message. I'm not quite sure, in fact. Yeah. So I need to bundle these. This doesn't. Oh, it's an error. So what we'll need to do is destruct this error message somehow into, I already forgot, found error. But what is the error then? Is it this thing? Allez. Where was the got thing we just changed? HTTP.error. Because apparently that's an error type, or not. Oh yeah, you can't do that. Or rather, you can't do destructuring inside of a case then, is what I'm... So maybe this should just be error then or something. And then I'll need to... Whoops. So the error message... we'll need to somehow get out of that error message over there. So you don't call like .get or something. So I wonder how you do that. http.error. Okay, back to documentation somewhere. Ooh. So this is what it looks like when it goes wrong. Right. Let me show you this again. Oh, error handling. Yeah, okay. We need a result. Yeah. So here is where we are throwing errors, but okay, here the errors are defined as strings, as just strings, but in our case, we've got HTTP errors in our result type, huh? Because in our got blah, this deals with this type of result, and this type of result is a result that has an error type of http.error and a success type of string. Now we don't do anything with that string, but maybe we can check out what this thing is in fact. So it's error is an actual type. Okay. God fucking son of a bee. What's up with the spam? Enjoy your ban. Okay, whatever. Yeah, so this is what it looks like. We'll get bad body and then with some stuff. So what I want is to check on all of these types. Or just check for one and then deal with that error somehow. Okay, So let's check that out. Where were we writing? So here we can see we want to extract the error message. So case error of, and now we can destructure. So if it's a bad body, then we can use the string, I think. And otherwise we'll just get an int. In fact, that's annoying. Okay, so we need to really make sure that if we want to have actual error messages in our API or coming from our API, then we need to make sure that we're throwing bad body instead of bad request, which we might actually already be doing by throwing bad request. So let's just check it out. If it's a bad body with MSG, then it's equal to that. So it looks like we haven't imported that yet, which we have now, and this is part of the http.error type. Okay. And otherwise, I guess we don't care. Oui. This I don't understand. Okay, so thanks to Elm's great compiler, we are getting something like this, saying the first pattern being bad body MSG is trying to match actual bad body with this of values of type error, so actual error. However, the expression, so this thing, is just an error. And then the hint says uses type variable error, which means any type of value. And we have noticed that as well, because if you check this, this here says that it's a result having any type of error, but we know that it's a specific one. Eh? We know that it's an HTTP error type. So now it should, yeah, voila. Haha. Yeah, okay, great. So it's compiling, but we still are not doing really anything with this failure thing, I think. Because our view isn't doing anything with this post register failure thing yet. I don't think, I'm not really sure. Okay, so model. I don't know why we both set it to the success message thing. Okay, maybe we should also have an error then, view error message with the yeah, so That's interesting. Maybe what we should have is an error message then to make it a little bit more simpler. Because somehow, yeah, here we are filling in just a success message, but here we're just keeping the post register player thing, and we need to unwrap it somehow then. I guess I think we're not updating the post register player either. Ah, maybe that's just the case. This can be either. Yeah, okay, I understand now. So that's not really correct, I guess, because our API post can be either a failure and then you've got an error message. It could be loading, but I guess it could also be a success with a string and then you do something with it or not. I mean, maybe we could do it like that. And then instead of keeping the success message, we'll just take it from here. So it should look like this. Then now we're doing refactoring and I don't want to do that just yet. So first, let's make sure that the failure message gets input correctly whenever there's a failure happening. So that should be here. Here we're saying just extract the error message and just only do it whenever there's a bad body. Otherwise, maybe it could be something went wrong and we don't know what exactly went wrong. But we are updating the post register player. And then what we should do is view failure message. And this will get as input the post register player thing. This function doesn't exist at all. So we'll just copy paste this somehow so that it's completely underneath the view message in our success message. I mean, in our what's it called, in our HTML, and it could look exactly the same from what I'm considered. So we don't take in a string, however, we are taking in a maybe API post. So this could be API post result, I guess. And then I think the only thing we'll need to do, so we cannot do a string.isEmpty. Now we can check if, I think I want to destructure this, I know. So case API post result of if it's a just failure. Hello. Then wait, I need to set two things. I want to return visible and message, and for anything else I just want to return anything else. I want to return hidden with, I guess, an empty string. We're not going to do anything with it anyway. Now, why is this not working? Oh. Yeah. There we go. So we've destructured this API post result into a visibility and a message that really only gets filled in if there's a failure. This failure we fill in our handle thing. Where was that again? In the handle register player. Here we create the just with the failure. And And then we unwrap that again to view the failure message. Nice. All right, so now everything's compiling. I save. I go back to, oops. Let's see, huh? Okay, maybe we'll call this MSG. There we go. Now we know that something's going wrong. Something went wrong. Ah, so it's not a bad body. What is a bad body thing then? The hell? This looks like, yeah, that might be even smarter, because here what they're doing is where they're handling, yeah, we're actually doing that as well, but they're doing it in one go. So here they're saying error bad body MSG, then it needs to be on this thing with MSG, and I guess otherwise we'll just return something went wrong. Wang wrong. And I think we've written the same if we do it like that. Oh yeah, but then again, this is expecting like a one thing only. So we need to put it in parentheses so we can actually destructure this. Okay. I guess it's a bit shorter that way, yeah? Okay, I mean, it's fine, huh? I was hoping to find out a bit more about what bad body in fact means, but I guess we'll need to go to elm.json, HTTP, I mean. This one. Error. Ollie. Oh. Ah, if the JSON decoder fails, you get a bad body. Yeah, but I want to destructure. I mean, I want to decode the actual JSON response, then the actual error. Because now we just get something went wrong. It's not very friendly of an error message, is it? Boop. bad status, bad URL, networking error, timeout. Where is an overview of all of the errors? Maybe here. No, these are, yeah, this is HTTP error, yeah. Ooh, expect string response and expect bytes response to get more flexibility on this. And what we are doing is what? We're doing expect string with the got register player response. So if we do expect string response instead, fancier error handling. Here, look at this. Yeah, this is basically what I wanted. Okay. I think we can really just copy this, in fact. And here's, in fact, already like a decoder. What if I don't have a decoder, though? Where did I use it to message? Here. Yeah, I think. Phew. Let's just put it somewhere for now, and then so this would be handle register player. This is much more of that. And so the decoder thing, I don't need it yet. Or is the decoder for now just what expect string does? What does expect string do? Like, oof. Huh. Ah, see, it doesn't use a decoder. And what was the other thing we were expect string nee, response? Okay, where's decoder used? Ah, so they instantly decode it. I don't think I need to do that. So basically for now, what I don't need this, in fact. We can just return this thing. That means we are not taking in a decoder. This is something we should import. This too. And then I guess we don't care about this decode thing. Metadata with, yeah, and then body of type response. So that would be the string, I think. Here they are destructuring that stuff. This is kind of weird, huh? Yeah, you get, because the decoder gets applied, it still returns a result. Maybe we can just return body then? No. Why not? I don't want to decode. Okay, and here I don't want to return just a plain error, I guess. What I want to return is a result. Maybe I should just return a result, and or what? Where is this handle again? Expect string. This is executed then. And here, this expects that there's going to be a result with an HTTP error and a string. Yeah, and that's the expect. Jesus. Yeah, and that's where this thing should come in. That's how the expect should go. So what is expect string signature? It still just returns expect with a message. So I guess instead this should be expect Json. With the message that contains that kind of stuff, the HTTP result, blah. I don't understand why it's complaining, in fact. I can now no longer return this. It should be something like the body. And this should become our own type. So API errors or something should be bad request. Ah, damn it. And now I also need to translate these because bad request will have a string, but I guess an anything for now. Does that work? Network error with whatever, timeout, bad URL with, I guess, a URL. Should be okay, huh? So then what we should do is the error type here, it should not be an HTTP. No, this should be okay. But this result should be something else. Because where is our thing? Here. This should not be an HTTP error, but an API error, I guess. Oy. Maybe it doesn't need to have a generic thing then, but this should be a string here as well. Because I guess that, I'm not sure. Yeah, it seems like it's a string. Yeah. So now we're saying .register player response can return a result, which when it errors has an API error, and when it's successful contains a string. Then what? So then this is no longer correct because this needs to be able to transform our own API errors somehow. Bad body doesn't exist anymore. It's going to be bad request containing an actual message. The bad request we need to translate still, because here we need to check case metadata of, and then I don't actually know. What does metadata look like? Christ, I can't even. Young. Required result with an error. Oh yeah. And now, so this is the generic OK result. Yeah. I guess we can just make this into a string and then it should compile. Huh? I think it's okay like this, because if we want to decode, if we want to parse actual JSON, we need to replace this with an A, and then we also need to pass along a next decoder function that understands how to translate this A into an actual type. But I think this is Gucci. This is Gucci, my friends. So maybe let's not call it expect JSON just yet. Expect stuff. What was it called before? Here. Expect string. So maybe what we'll call it is expect string with error handling, because that's basically what it is, right? Okay. So now if we've got a bad status, we will try and transform this body we're getting, which will hopefully just be a string, into an error message, basically. Because that's what this thing will do. It will create a .register player response. And then when you do a .register player response, it will create one with the result that comes out of this thing, which is the message stuff. Huh? So in that case, we shall we need to handle this got register player response, which we do. Where's the update? Here, handle register player response. And here we destructure our own type that we declared bad request, which then contains just a message. And then add that to the post register player thing with the correct response message, and then we show it on screen. So now the only thing that's left for us to do is to fix this thing here to well, fuck. Am I already going to add like an exception handler maybe? Nope, I don't want to. So we'll do a bad request, but then instead of just build, I guess. How do you do that again? Body. Body. Some fake error message from the backend. .build. .build not necessary. Now we should just go like this. You what, mate? It's a string then or what? There we go. Just so I can throw this damned exception here. Okay, we save. It should get automatically reloaded. Our UI is still running. The build or the application is working because it was compiling and now it's running. So if I do any kind of call here, I should get an error message on screen, which you're not getting, which is kind of weird. So let's inspect this bad request network. Hopefully we did get an actual response. We don't have response data. Bad request. Okay, so I guess the hot reloading didn't work. That's stupid. Let's get a drink. Okay. So let's try that again, shall we? Clear it all. It's working. Okay, this is great. So yeah, there we fixed it. I mean, it's not very clean yet, but it's quite okay, I think. Let's go over this thing again. So let's see, where were we? We added a string parameter to the failure API post type so that we can show it all the way in the bottom, view failure message. So whenever it's a failure with a message, we destructure it and we show it on screen and just like a paragraph. That's what we're seeing right here. But how did we come to this failure message? Well, we bound the got register player response to say, well, it's a result type. It's still a result type, but instead of having an HTTP.error, it's now going to get an API error, which was a type we declared ourselves, which is right here. And that thing can mean, well, it's either a bad request, and when it's a bad request, it will have some kind of a string to give you more information, or it's a network error, or it's a timeout, or it's a bad URL. So it is like malformed stuff, huh? So we've declared that API error. So how can we make sure that whenever we're doing HTTP calls, that the returning result type is indeed one of those API error things? Well, if we do an HTTP call for registering a player, then we can say do an HTTP post and expect this specific error handling thing to be used, instead of the thing that we were using before was expect string. And this is a function we declared ourselves that makes use of expect string response, which is like a better way for developers to extract or like basically to do proper error handling. It's just like what they're saying right here. This function is great for fancier error handling and getting response errors. Yeah. And what we're doing here is we are piping the toMessage first argument, which is this kind of thing. So that's just a constructor to create our very own got_register_player response. Then we're saying bind this, and then add an anonymous function that understands how to handle the actual response that we're going to get from the server. And here we transform actual HTTP things that are part of the HTTP response or the post thing, or basically HTTP library stuff, into actual error types or error result type with our own API error type. So this thing. And then we managed to capture the body that was sent on the response as well, when there's a bad status going on. When there's a good status, we also just return the body. Yeah, we haven't actually tested that yet. So if it's, yeah, then I need to restart my backend. Hang on for that. But any case, so that's how the transformation gets done basically. And then, yeah, we just make sure that in our handle register player response, if the result is actually okay, and okay for us means it's a good status. In that case, we don't do anything with the body anyway. So whether or not we're passing this through, we completely ignore it anyway. Okay, that's fine, I guess. But anyway, so if it's an error, then we are extracting the message from the HTTP response, and we are just doing pattern matching again. So if the result is an error and it's got a bad request error type and not a network or a timeout or a bad URL, then we are extracting or destructuring that type into to get the message. And then we transform that into a, so that our post register player model is now a just instead of just type, instead of a maybe type, with a failure saying that this is the message. And then if it's not, well, then something else went wrong and we don't really care what went wrong. It could be that it's a bad URL, it's a timeout, or it's a network error. Maybe I should put that somewhere. when it's a bad request, we care about the response because it contains an insightful error message. When it's any other error type, wait, actually API error, we don't care about specifics. There we go. That's it, huh? And then when we need to decode replace string with a and provide a decoder function. Second argument to transform a. That's it. Commit. Oh, hang on. And this time I am going to think about it. I guess this is good enough. What's that? This one. New feature. Good enough. Error handling in the front end. I'm not sure if I want to. I don't want to check in my registration controller because I don't want to check in an exception or something like that. Or do I? I think it's quite okay already. Maybe okay. I can't I can't deal with it. So I want to revert this so that I'm actually returning something. No. It should be response entity, yeah. Yeah. Voila. And now I want to add a custom exception handler thingamajig. Where to put that? Scrambled. Oh man. I'm not sure if this is going to work. Let's do package org scrambled adapter.rest API.exception handling. And then we can create a class called exception handler. And then here, this needs some like a bunch of annotations that I'm going to steal. So this thing should be a REST controller advice. Hello. So now we've got AOP in there. I think what we want first maybe is I think actually we want our own exception here, which we might put. Oh man, this is starting to become super annoying. Temporary custom exception. This is a runtime exception. And now I guess we'll need to, yeah, call a constructor. I think we'll give it a message as well. Yeah. I don't need all of these. Pass along the message. And then we can do this somehow in this exception handler when we do handle custom exceptions, I guess. I don't know. Which will take these exceptions. Exception should be a function. And this function should have an exception handler, or should be an exception handler, I should say, where the value is our temporary custom exception class Java. No? Just this? Yeah. And then instead of just throwing the exception, what I want to do is translate this into, yeah, so I think this needs to return a response entity. And let's just do a string, because that's the easiest thing we can return. So here, really what we want to do is just return a response entity. Bad request with body exception dot message. And that's it. And we can just convert that into this thing and then be super concise. So really what we're doing is we're just translating our own custom exceptions in, maybe we can just call it this, custom exceptions, into LA. Oh, Basically what we're doing here is mapping our custom exceptions into response entities that contain the message. That's it. It feels like there's like a nice way to do that, but I'm too bored to do anything, or too annoyed to do anything about that. So we still have our regular controller here, but if I wanted to return like a bad request with an exception, what I could do now is throw our custom exception saying this is a message from the backend. Of course, this won't be thrown, but now we've got like a generic way of throwing exceptions from anywhere in our code, which will then be translated into actual JSON or a HTTP response, which is nice. So if I were to rerun this and I try to do a call to the backend, then in my front end, this is a message from the backend should show up. Okay, it's running. Let's do a call. This is a message from the backend. And then if I want to not do that, I can just call this. And really, honestly, it should just reload. But it doesn't. It's so sad. I wonder what makes it hot reloadable. Because I've seen it work. No. Okay, that's good enough. Voila. Okay, now we're really going to did we already make a commit or not? I guess we did, but it's still just on main, so yeah, no. I'm going to say that we've added something new as well, which is like a generic exception handler. Maybe I should first rename it to be custom exception handler. Okay. Doop-de-doop-de-doo. And since it's Kotlin, maybe what I can do is just add these here. Because I mean it's too simple to actually they will move eventually, I guess, to the domain API, but that we will see at some point. I don't know when. To do move to core API at some point when we've got actual exceptions. Because we won't be throwing custom exceptions from our controller. The domain will be throwing them. Whatever. I think this is fine. Good enough. I was just thinking a bit to myself, like, what if I made a fun to response function which returns a response entity of string and which is in fact just equal to this, and actually it should be this dot message, and then I could do exception dot to response, but it feels so gimmicky. I'm not sure. I don't see a lot of benefit into having this as an extension function, other than it's more clear that you're using properties properties of a custom exception to translate into a response entity. And I guess theoretically, yeah, no, you can't do that. I was gonna say theoretically you could add this annotation to this to response, but I don't think you can. I don't think. Yeah. Okay. So our feature, there were some Unnecessary imports. Oh, shit. They're fine there. And fine there. Okay, what we did add was added a custom exception handler. Custom exception handler that translate. Oh my god, I can't type anymore. Translates our exceptions into response entities. That's it. Commit. Commit. Push it. Voila. Okay, we're making our skeleton walk slowly but surely. Next up would be this, trying to use Elm UI. I guess this takes quite a lot of reading into it before. So I'm going to save you all the trouble of the boring stuff, which is reading about Elm UI. Maybe what I can already do is like look it up a little bit. And then I guess it's this one. Check out the talk that goes with the library, building a better design toolkit. Is this the one from, what's his face? The guy from Red Ink? R.T. Feldman? Ooh, it's not.
And ultimately I wasn't able to figure out how to make that work. So I'm very excited to hear from Matt about ideas along these lines.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'll be watching this short video. And then maybe, yeah, so tomorrow I can't do live streaming. What day is tomorrow? Wednesday. On Thursday, I think I can do live streaming in the morning. Maybe I can do some live streaming tomorrow morning too, but we will see. And if not, it's going to be for Friday, I think. Let's see. Friday. What's my schedule look like for Friday? It's all cleared. Okay. Some stuff might come up though, so we don't know yet. Anywho. Oh, damn it. There's someone in chat and I know there's something that's written there, but I actually can't read it because I had to block or ban a guy from spamming something. So if you keep on writing stuff, hopefully eventually your chat messages will pop over. Or maybe what I could do. Oh. Okay. Ah, voila. Forever Mesh. What happened to the board game project? God damn it. Okay. What happened to it? Let's think about that for a while. About spammers and bots, indeed. Welcome back. So let me think what happened to that. I basically gave up, but it had some. How do you say that? I guess I wasn't really in the right mindset anymore at a certain time, because I ended up postponing live coding for such a long time that yeah, I mean, some other stuff got in the way, you know, like real life, like finding a house with your girlfriend, being super stressed out about not being able to get a loan maybe for the house that you actually just bought. Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, it was a very, very stressful time for a long time. And then the job wasn't really great either. So that, like, not specifically the job, but the actual project that I was working on, it's drained all of my energy basically. And I've only had up until now that I've got a holiday again for 4 weeks in December. That's quite a lot. And then and then now I've found some new hobby project where I felt motivated again and had a good opportunity to live code again, so why not? And I'm really happy that I started it again. But yeah, so yay! Maybe I'll get back into the board game project though, because the event sourcing part there was quite interesting for me. I learned quite a lot, and I'm going to need a bunch of that for this project too. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming to watch me again. Honestly, I was thinking, what if people notice that I haven't been streaming for a while and I get caught? Yeah. You know, actually, working on a business project that drains energy is killer for any outside work projects. Sometimes when I've had a bit more, I don't know, like more motivation, I guess, or felt like I was getting somewhere, these side projects would actually motivate me motivate me again to continue working. It would be like doing gaming or whatever. But then, yeah, Diabotical came out, so that was kind of a big deal for me. And then what else did I do? Like some other gaming stuff in the meanwhile. I must have done some bunch of gaming. Ah yeah, and Corona, of course. Fucking Corona. Good lord. That took some getting used to as well. But we're all over that now, aren't we? Glad to be a little bit back at least. Dude, I love, I'm an old school Quake 3 player. I'm old because that's what I no wait, I played Quake, so I'm old. That's what I was trying to say. And now I've been playing Diabotical and it's amazing. It's really, really cool. Yeah, I love it a lot. There's a good community out there called Diabotical District. And they're basically the people that inspired me to continue with this project, or start with it, in fact. And the person that's contributing to the project is another Flemish Diabotical player. It's this guy, Cordusk. He actually won one of the Diabotical District League competitions, and he's now outgrown it, in fact, because his elo is too high to compete anymore. But don't worry, my elo is still low enough. Where am I? Somewhere it should be. I don't actually know. Ah yeah, Salcon. He was quite good of a player himself. Yeah, holy shit. I also ended up doing commentary on all of these games for 5 hours long on the stream for the finals on the 15th of November. No wait, the 29th somewhere. Yeah, it was good fun. I'll share the link in chat and you can watch it if you like. Yeah. And feel free to join the Discord, and I can see you on there as well sometimes. Alright, so I'm gonna read all this, watch this video, and then either tomorrow morning, the day after morning, or on Friday I will be back with more of this project. Woohoo! Alright, I will see you lads then. And yeah, have a good time. Peace.